was worried about that, if we're not careful, that this will happen to us, and that we would then need to be critical of things. We would need to be more skeptical than we are, and maybe we should not rely so much on authority driven to tell us this is the way it is, but rather to discover how things are, and then to teach people how to discover the truth might be a better way.
Well, Bertrand Russell, actually, he worked with the CIA at the Congress for Cultural Freedom to help create the uniform culture of the West after World War II. So he's pretty instrumental in the way things are today. All the boys and girls will learn from an expected that advance.
I heard like another voice, maybe
Dinosaur Man or anything you want. I don't care. I've heard worse.
direct message.
Direct message, yeah.
Direct message.
Jill
Am I
said
coming loud and clear?
you're on are you on a quest to get Christians fired because they don't teach science the way you believe they should?
I would love to be on that quest. And I hope that anyone that doesn't teach actual science gets fired no matter what they are. It doesn't matter what religion or non-religion they have. If they're not teaching actual science, then they should be fired because they're not doing their job.
But
what if they're teaching illusionary, like
they're using science to manipulate people and enslave?
They are?
Yeah.
Really? What proof do you have? Who is using science to manipulate people, and in what way?
The song. They made a song about it. Like, she blinded me with science.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Let's find out the answer. Let's hear it.
Yeah, well, Bertrand Russell talked about it. He wrote a book, The Impact of Science in Society, where he said that scientific societies are yet in their infancy. It is to be expected that advances in physiology and psychology will give governments much more control over individual mentality than they now have, even in totalitarian countries. Talks about how education is the most influential form of modern propaganda, and education is designed to basically make you an obedient, docile slave to the state. And science is used to control like what people believe is truth. And yeah, so seems pretty accurate to the world we're living in.
Well, now this book, I'm not familiar with the author, but this was published.
Yeah, Bertrand Russell. He's
Russell.
He's knighted. He's a Nobel Prize. He's famous for math mostly.
Yeah. Well, Russell had a lot of interesting things to say. You know, Russell's teapot.
Yeah.
I think you might be. I think you might be getting some of the things he said out of context, possibly. That could be the case. It might be. I don't know.
Said, in like manner, the scientific rulers will provide one kind of education for ordinary men and women, and another for those who are to become holders of scientific power. Ordinary men and women will be expected to be docile, industrious, punctual, thoughtless, and contented. Of these qualities, probably contentment will be considered the most important. In order to produce it, all the researches of psychoanalysis, behaviorism, and biochemistry will be brought into play. All the boys and girls will learn from an early age to be what is called cooperative, do exactly what everyone is doing. Initiative will be discouraged in these children, and insubordination without being punished will be scientifically trained out of them.
Yeah.
By drugging them.
Well, I mean, that could or couldn't, that may or may not be the case. I think that, with the U.S. at any rate, because that's the only, I can't really speak to other places other than one. I mean, Japan has a good, pretty weird school, but, different. But, a lot of what we teach is rather useless.
Right.
In the sense of it doesn't tell you how to be an adult. And so maybe we should, think about changing that. I think he might have been warning about, things that he, was worried about, that, if we're not careful, that this will happen to us, and that we would then need to be critical of things. We would need to be more skeptical than we are, and maybe we should not rely so much on, authority driven to tell us this is the way it is, but rather to discover how things are, and then to teach people how to discover the truth might be a better way.
Well, Bertrand Russell, actually, he worked with the CIA at the Congress for Cultural Freedom to help create the uniform culture of the West after World War II. So he's pretty instrumental in the way things are today. And I think they used a lot of his ideas to create what I call technocracy or scientific dictatorship. Eisenhower mentions this in his farewell address about a scientific elite, which will dominate using scientific-based public policy. We see that with stuff like climate change and the lockdown of the pandemic. And Zbigniew Brzezinski also talked about how governments would use science to control and manipulate people.
Well, I don't know that we can lay it at science per se, but certainly it's possible, social manipulation at some level.
Well, no. That's the point of the whole entire point of science is to enslave humans and manipulate and control the truth.
No, because science isn't like an entity in and of itself. It's just a discipline.
No,
I think what Hugh Mars is saying is not science like as an entity, but the minds behind science who abuse the science. I think that's what he means.
Yeah, well, sure, anyone can abuse any tool at our disposal.
Yeah, the power of knowledge,
Yeah, that's why
it's all it is.
You should be more educated and the most educated that you can hope to be, and try to learn.
Like as an ideal, it's not.
No, the key isn't be smart.
People,
the key is,
but neither is religion. Like Catholic priests aren't meant to
hold on.
molest little boys, but unfortunately, when you put these things into practice, human nature corrupts things, and when you give power, corrupts. And so even science, noble science, when it becomes powerful, when it becomes an institution, can become corrupted just like anything and be used what it's being used for is by those in power. Tyrants are using science to create tyranny, to have more power, to control. That's what it's being used for.
Well, again, I think I would, as a skeptic, I'd be a little bit more caution with the sort of language, because it seems almost on the fringe, if not over the edge of, conspiracy type, like, well, the government's, controlling our lives. And to some extent, there's certain laws and whatever we all have to follow.
Well,
but,
who says there's a bigger conspiracy? Who says it has anything to do with the government? What if the government's just a pawn within it as well?
Right.
And they're just victims to a bigger scheme that's been going on for whatever. It's like crazy people like to say.
Maybe some all-powerful, or really, well, not all-powerful, but a very powerful alien at some point came to humans and told us that it was God and propagated God myths throughout time, for all we know. And that's what's they're up there in their UFOs looking at us and laughing at all of us, and as they play us for chumps. Who knows? But then those are all good reasons to be a skeptic, I think.
We'll see. Even if that's the case, it still fits narrative, right?
Yeah, because, but then it's those are good reasons to be a skeptic, right? Like, that's why I'm a skeptic. I'm like, people can lie.
Like skeptical of reality, bro.
No. That's too far. You can't. You have to rein it in.
Things fall down when I drop them, but I'm not sure. I want to be skeptical about that.
Well, no. How do we see? There is a limit to skepticism, in that you don't want it to gain you a belief that you don't need. So, if it appears that things around me are what we would call real, then and they've been around me, and I'm used to them, and they're mundane, and other people can talk about them, then they're probably things that really exist, and my mind is probably working well enough, and hopefully it will stay working well enough for quite some time. So you don't want to gain a belief that reality is unreal to some degree unless you have some reason to, unless the skylight falls, next to you to indicate that you might be on a giant set. You don't really have a reason.
Nice Truman reference.
Yeah. That's a great one. Somebody re-edited Truman to make it that you only see what Truman sees. Very interesting edit. Very interesting. Ooh. Yeah. And they also did T3 and they got rid of a lot of the comedy parts. And I was like, hey, and then they added like T2 music in. I was like, oh, this is good. What the bleep? What did he do? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm watching this conversation again. I think he just used the same logic I outlined. I outlined in the Bertrand Russell book that would be programmed into him through the indoctrination. Let me go back here.
You don't want it to gain you a belief that you don't need. So if it appears that things around me are what we would call real, then and they've been around me and I'm used to them and they're mundane and other people can talk about them, then
see the key thing. If things are around me and they're real and they're mundane, and the key thing there, other people can talk about them. That's the exact logic Russell's talking about in this quote. All the boys and girls will learn from an early age to be what is called cooperative, i.e. do exactly what everyone is doing. Initiative will be discouraged in these children, and insubordination without being punished will be scientifically trained. So we're brainwashed to look at what other people are doing, and if they're doing the same thing we're doing, then it makes us feel like we're sane. But if we've all been brainwashed to live in an insane life, you see, then we're in this fucked up reality where we are all conditioned to think, oh, something doesn't feel right. I don't think something's wrong, but everyone else seems to think everything's normal and we're all behaving the same way, so we must be normal. And we're conditioned this way, right? Through education, for example, and science. And so they've made what should be abnormal and not acceptable by normal people, what should be considered insane by sane people. They've made all this, they've normalized insanity and a fake reality, but we think the reality is real because, oh look, other people, they agree with us, so we're sane. That's legit how it works. And I don't know if you guys really catch what I'm saying but he outlined that exact same logic that it just blows my mind. I can sit and read these books and they're like, we're gonna brainwash people to think like this, and I tell it to this guy and then he's like, no, that's not true. And then he demonstrates the exact logic that I'm talking about, but he has no self-awareness, or he's not aware. It's just, I think it's fascinating.
That you have to believe that reality is real in a way to proceed from there to something else. You kind of go, okay, well, I did the thought experiment and now I'm done. I only need to run it once. I don't need to keep running it until the door opens and I find out I'm on a stage or whatever.
When it comes to Christianity, and I'm sorry for the echo that I have right now, is this just how they say real life is with God, true life is with God, and this life is just a finite experience, at least that's what it's supposed to be. So that means any of this is real at all for the Christian, or because if it there's two ways. It's only real if we're true and uphold the word, and then if it isn't real if we don't, so to say, because we don't get to have life, so to speak, afterwards, but we still experience it. So it's one of those weird things, I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think that when I was a Christian once upon a time, as Infinite Hope was my avatar name. I had this argument. I thought it was brilliant at the time. Now I don't, but I'll share it with you since it's similar. That you and I and we the picture on the screen right now is an avatar. That's not me, although it kind of resembles me. You know, it's drawn to look like me, but it's not me. And the word Deconverted Man, that's not my name. It's an avatar name. And this one guy is an avatar name. And P. Mars is an avatar name. Now, maybe his last name is Mars, for all I know. I don't know. You know, it's not my business. You know, if he wants to share that, that's up to him. You know, if we could tell each other real names if we want or not, you know, that's all part of this internet thing. But I thought, well, okay, so you have this avatar. We all know that. So there's an avatar of self. If I'm actually really not me that you see on the screen, but I'm really this person typing on a keyboard, so to speak, then maybe there's another me typing on a keyboard that I'm an avatar of, and I'm unaware of this, you know, other me that's behind, you know, this fleshy me. And I was like, yes, this is great. This makes sense. It's the avatar itself. It's so cool, you know. But then I was like, well, you know, now as a skeptic, I go, well, that's interesting as an idea, but there's no, unlike
practical
with
sense
the
to it.
Well, there's no association causation. I can't show that there is a thing that is controlling me, that, like my soul or spirit or whatever you want to call it, you know,
that's fair.
You know, and it
I
might
would
be
say,
the case. It might be the case, but I don't have a way to show that it is the case. And so, you know, unless I have, you know, maybe I don't know. That'd be, yeah.
There's I might give a small explanation from, you know, my Christian point of view. I can't say the.
Yeah.
I can't say the. That's a big claim there, buddy.
You refined yourself. I love it. Yeah. You left before I went insane. We're not going to talk about when I went insane, but we all know I went insane. But you left before that happened, so yeah. Anyways, to address the other point, the elephant in the room. Okay, that's done with. We talked about it. Let's move on. Oh yeah. Anyways, about the Christian view.
So. The standard, no, is that it comes with the avatar the same way, like I have this one guy, but I am this one guy, right? That is who I am. That's who I'm known by. Although I may not share the same experience, that is my name. But I have a true name, a name that only I know, just like in the Bible, Christ gives us a name that only he knows. So we are, in a sense, in an avatar state here in life. And that kind of brings up a good point. Like, we are in that avatar state. We are an avatar with a different name within us. And we might lose that name, you know, so to speak, within that worldview.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a interesting story, even though I think, of course, it's not a true story. But I think that even though it from my perspective, it's made up, and of course, from your perspective, it's to some degree true, and who knows how true it is, or is in fact actually true, or whatever. You know, you can get into that whole thing, but it's certainly a compelling idea that, because you know, there's different ideas in the Bible that you can extract, that you'll have a new body and a new name. So, well, of course you'd have to have a new body, because the molecules of your present body would be scattered to the winds. So, you know.
Well, that depends. That depends on if you're one of the people alive at end times or not. Because there are still people living. So it really depends.
Then there's all that. Well, I think that just makes it more complicated already. But at any rate, however you view it, that well, why would you need a new name, and why would you need a new body, or why would, you know, and who knows? But it's just this
the same reason why we get new names. Like, it's an example I can give is in the Bible, like with Daniel, and how he's given a new name, like Abednego or whatever, you know, because of the different language. Perhaps something to that effect.
Like the name,
like your true name, what your true name would be because it's God or something like that. You know, that's the only thing I could think of.
Oh, well, yeah, in those days, now our names still have meaning, but I think we focus less on that these days than you know, maybe they used to back in the day, so to speak. You know, like a name, you know, like different names have different meanings from you know, depending on the dialect.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. I'm big on the whole name interpretation.
Yeah,
I like finding out people's name and going back to what their name originally means.
Neo Anderson means new man.
Right. So there's examples. So maybe you have maybe you're given a new name that represents like your true self or something like that. You know, it's like it has a deep significance to you, or whatever, and it kind of lets people know what you're about or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting to play with those sort of ideas.
Yeah, it's like the astrology bit, right?
Oh,
Like, it's like,
I think
you
I
know?
don't think you want to. I don't think you want to have that as your. I don't think you want that as your.
No lie, dude.
analogy.
I looked at like the freaking numerology. I looked at this
The
like
numerology.
recently.
You mean numerology?
The numerology with the astrology,
Yeah.
the signs, and I looked into that, like you get the exact time of your birth and all that, and
Yeah.
it had me pretty pegged down personality wise to a T, and I was like, this is exactly me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But then all you have to do is look at the other ones and see how well they fit you too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did that. Like I did it I read my wife's one and I was comparing to see if I would feel the same way. I'm like, no, it's completely different.
Well, but see, you have to have it done you have to have somebody else give you them and not know which ones they are. So you don't, you have to have it controlled to a degree.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because because what might happen is that you'll go.
I see what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, this one is
it's filtered.
mine.
It's biased. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bias. So if you don't know if it's yours or not, then
Fair point.
Yeah. What's his face? Randy. James Randi did this thing where he handed out these things to everybody in this classroom, and he said that they'd been prepared by astrologists that knew their stuff and read through it and see how much you agree with, and like everybody pretty much agreed with it. And he's like, okay, now hand your thing one up forward to the person in front of you, and if you're in the front, we'll give it to the people in back. And they realized they were all the same. Exactly the same. Every single one of these papers was said the same thing. So it's like, there you go. It's you read into it about yourself, even though everyone else also thought it was about them because the things were so vague and desirable and whatnot.
I talked to a demon this one time, and he told me that Satan was using James Randi to lie to people and trick them.
But okay, I'm just gonna. There's so many questions I have about that, but I'm just gonna tentatively accept that you talked to a demon. Wouldn't a demon lie to you? Like why would a demon tell you the truth? Like, so
why would James Randi tell you the
demon?
truth?
The demon's whole thing is to like screw you up, and like
that's James Randi's whole thing. Why would he tell you the truth?
No. Uh-oh. What the hell? Now this is not possible.
How can you trust James Randi?
No. Hold on. We shouldn't be here now.
But you can't trust a demon. It's like the same. They're like the same thing.
Wait. I just want to reflect on the moment that our host has left us in this limbo somehow. Oh wait, he's back. Okay. Don't do that again.
Sorry.
You left us in limbo somehow. I didn't know how we existed without you. I'm like, that's not possible. Okay, so the demon, right? Like the whole thing, like with demons, like is that they're, I don't know, servants of the evil one or whatever you want to put that. And so their whole thing is to mess with humans and trick them, right? So like anything any demon would say would be automatically suspect, right?
Right.
So
same with James Randi.
Well, no, that's a different thing because you have what a demon is supposed to be, which is this trickster, this manipulator or whatever. And then you have a human who may or may not be a trickster or a manipulator. Who knows? We have to look at what they said or what they did or what they didn't say or what they didn't do and try to make some sort of...
I think ultimately it would go down.
Sounds like you don't understand human nature very well.
I think the demon's ultimate goal would be just to have fun and fuck with people. He doesn't care about, Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that, it's interesting.
It's hard to say.
Demons leave skeptics pretty much alone. I don't know.
Well, how do you know? What if there's a skeptical demon on you and you don't know it? And that demon's causing the skepticism.
Well, I want to talk to it. I'd be like, hey, man, prove yourself, darn it. If you're a skeptical, like wouldn't it? I don't know. How does that? Well, then that, but then you can all play that. Yeah, we'd all play that game and be like, well, you're a demon, and you get a demon. And
The
If you'll
demon's
grow
goal
demons.
is to make
Just listen to the Dio song. Don't talk to strangers. Just listen to that, and there you go.
the
Well,
demons.
they're
The,
demons.
the demon's goal is to turn people into skeptics. So they don't really need to mess with skeptics very much, and they
So
use
wait.
people like James Randi to create these skeptic religion, which is like a demonic religion, skepticism.
So
Well, to make it easier, you could say doubt and faith.
well, no, I want to expand on this because what I mean by skeptic might be something different than what Mr. Mars here means. So what do you mean by that? So should I not be skeptical of anything ever, or is
No,
there?
you should have faith in God that He's in power and He's in control. You don't have to worry about stuff. You don't even have to make judgments. You don't have to do anything really. It's awesome. Like He's totally in control.
Why if I did have faith in God, whatever that might be, then I'm free to be skeptical of everything else?
You don't get it.
Well, please explain.
I think it would be, instead of skeptical, questionable, because question things, right?
I don't know. I mean, you know.
Well, you're not supposed to really question things or make judgments because you're a human being. You have a limited perspective. Like, we can't really tell what is good or bad since we don't have God's perspective where He can see the bigger picture. We just have this like short picture, limited knowledge thing going on. So we don't really know what the hell's going on. So it's wrong. We're ignorant.
Wait, does that? So
I don't think so. No, that's not true.
Let me
Ignorant.
let me ask because I want to make sure I understand where you're coming from here. Are we not to make judgments on anything at all ever?
No,
we're not. Meaning we are, or
you're not supposed to judge. We're not supposed to judge
Does that you mean judge people, or do you mean judge anything?
anything.
Okay, so if I go to my refrigerator and I smell that the milk smells bad, should I drink it?
Yes.
So I should drink sour milk and not judge whether it's good or bad by its smell.
Yes.
Okay, and that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay. When there's a light and I'm driving a car and I see a light and it turns red, I'm not to judge whether I should stop or not.
Is your name Deconverted Man? Is that because you're a tranny?
No. What? I'm trying to ask
you're not a man now. You're a woman.
Sure, if that makes you
deconverted from a man.
If you wish.
Maybe you're a little boy.
P Mars, I don't know that you're being serious with your ideas here. But if you
I'm absolutely serious.
Well, you said we shouldn't judge anything. I'm
Right,
not
that
sure
was
how
the,
that
that was the original sin. We ate from the tree of the knowledge
Right.
of good and evil, and we
But
started
then,
making decisions.
so you would really drink sour
We're
milk.
not supposed to be doing that because
So
it's only for God to decide.
So how did you? I presume you have some sort of job. How did you decide to get that job that you have? If you didn't make any judgments at all, how did you obtain this job, whatever job you might have?
See, it's not judgment that we're not supposed to do. It's sin that we're not supposed to do.
Well, but he said, I asked him if we're not supposed to, judge the spoiled milk, and he said, no, we're not. So I'm just following that.
Not to transgress.
Well, but he said
what God decides, whatever it may be, is the good. If then we decide what the good is, we substitute our own good.
Okay.
Not if God says it's good. If God says it's good, then it's good.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. So if we do good by God, then we can judge rightly by God.
God created the world. He's in the world.
You said we're not allowed to judge anything, and I'm asking how you decided to have whatever job you have, or whatever relationships you have, or wherever you might live? How did you get to any conclusion of where you are without making some judgment call at some point?
I'd say the best thing is not to judge alone, to have witnesses, because a fool is only right in his own eyes.
Jesus texts the Pharisees,
yeah,
even though
it's
they're the
interesting.
most moral people, live the best lives, and are perfectly obedient and virtuous.
It's
Because
interesting.
they have substituted their own morality for the living and actual word of God that can never be fixed in commandments.
So, Mr. Mars,
you should judge things.
How do you know that
in the Gospels, Jesus constantly breaks religious precepts and moral rules?
How do you know? Do you think God is good?
Of course.
Yes, you can judge things, and yes, you should judge things. We are meant to judge evil. We're meant to. So we're supposed to go along, and if somebody's doing evil that's in our church group, we're not meant to judge them. We're not meant to judge them. We're not meant to say, okay, that person's doing evil. They need to get out of here. We're supposed to go, oh, la-di-da, I'm not supposed to judge you. Of course you're supposed to judge people.
Mr. Izzard,
of course you're supposed to be a judge of good and evil and good and bad. Of course you are. You're a fool saying that. You're an absolute fool. I'm just going to get out of here.
Jason, able to make judgments.
Hold on. Jason.
The revelation of God.
Hold on.
Pull up, P. Mars. Let Deconverted Man. Then you can go.
Calm down. I would.
Perfectly calm, sir. You're just a narcissist and trying to dominate the conversation.
Well, I am a narcissist. That is true. But I was trying to have Jason quiet down so I could hear him. He was shouting rather loudly. Now, really, that's the job of this one guy. To be fair, I mean, this is his thing to control, not mine. But you know,
I don't care. I don't care if he screams and yells. But that's a you problem if you can't.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I
to be fair, I heard him.
Yeah, I heard him. He didn't need to be yelling. I thought that was a bit, disruptive.
He's passionate. It's passion.
I've never yelled.
I respect a man's passion.
Wait a minute. Well, yeah.
He said his piece. He said his piece, and he left. Yeah.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's like that's what my book's about how they've Satan has invaded Christianity and messed it all up.
Wait, you wrote a book?
No.
P. Mars.
My book. It's a book I'm reading.
It's
how did you decide?
I would say.
How did you decide to buy that book if you can't judge anything?
I would say it's by Christianity. You mean the religion,
by this
right?
Non-judging thing that he said,
like
earlier.
in the teachings.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it like a specific sect or just a certain?
I'm trying to understand what P. Mars meant by that, but I just, when I asked about the milk and I said, if you smell it and it smells,
we gotta take it from this context.
Yeah, no, but he said that. It was like, you're not supposed to judge if the milk has gone bad. Really? I mean, come on. Really? Are you silly?
Well,
that's just silly.
Are you drunk?
Yeah, I'm drunk, sure. I'm all the words that you want me to be so that you can pretend that my questions don't need to be answered by you. You're the one that
I mean, whatever, you're like a busted ass alcoholic Socrates. I mean, whatever, dude. I don't care about your questions.
Wow. Socrates.
I'm just interested in like talking about ideas.
You don't care about my questions. Well, that's fine.
No, because you're boring, dude, and you're asking stupid questions.
Well, no, I thought that
ideas. I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book.
That's good.
It's got ideas in it, right? Like you're saying,
yes.
Hold up now, guys. Guys, I'd like to say something.
You can't judge anything in that book because you're not.
Hold up, Deconverted Man. Hold up. I'd like to say something. If you guys no longer seek conversation with each other, then please revert back to me, because obviously it's going to get you guys nowhere, and you're both looking kind of foolish right now.
I'm happy to engage in conversation with Mr. Mars. It seems that I've upset him or troubled him in some way, shape, or form because he's engaging in erratic dialogue, which I understand. I've been there myself.
Well, I feel like you're being passive aggressively rude by straw manning my position.
Well, I don't know.
Why couldn't we just come out and say that? Why can't we just come out and say how we feel?
I don't really want to address your bullshit questions.
Well, I was
just,
being
stupid and you're being childish, right? Okay. And so I'm talking about this. I got this book, right, and it's saying that God's revelation has nothing whatever to do with morality.
Yeah. Okay. I don't.
And it goes into
I
the first sin was eating from the tree of good and evil, which is making decisions. Let's see. Yeah. In this context, knowledge means decisions. What is not acceptable to God is that we should decide on our own what is good and what is evil. So that's what I'm saying.
I'd say
right.
when P. Mars is talking about judgment, it's not to judge unto damnation. You don't judge somebody for what they do that they're going to go to hell or they're going to die in their sins, because there are sins that don't necessarily lead to death. So from his perspective, do not judge in that aspect. I agree with him 100%. Don't judge in that aspect that someone's going to burn in hell because of what they do.
Right, but I was trying to understand what he meant by that. That's why I asked the question about the spoiled milk. Is not to straw man him, is to try to understand him. I'm being sincere in that. Now he doesn't have to believe that I'm being sincere. He can think I'm being passive aggressive or whatever he thinks. You know, I can't.
Yeah, I believe you're an asshole.
Okay, well that's fine. What's your argument?
Well, my evidence would be
no. I said, what's your argument?
I
said, what's your argument? What's
you're
your
an
argument?
asshole.
Okay, that's not an argument.
It's not.
No. Perhaps you should learn logic.
Why?
Why? Well, because
logic is a tool of the devil.
Yeah, that is true. The one guy, I mean, logic and science are tools of the devil, and the demon talk to you, right?
Paul said the arguments for the wise are nothing but wind. And from what I see about these so-called logical people, they're some of the dumbest people. You ever heard them have these logical arguments and discussions? Some of the dumbest crap. I swear to God. And these like super college educated people, they'll say like the most wild, unbelievable lie fantasy stuff, and they believe it's true. So I don't really respect intellectuals or people who want to talk about logic and whatever. I like to read books and talk about ideas and not pretend like I'm some freaking super smart, you know, my ego is all wrapped up in my brain type person. I'm not like that. So, you know.
So is it good to be ignorant then?
Yeah. I'm very it's good to be stupid. I'd rather have Down syndrome than be one of these like Harvard educated academic intellectuals. They're the most pathetic people.
Well, you're welcome to that view. I think we're done here. I don't know what to do with that. Good luck with that. Moving on.
Vain philosophies, the scripture calls them in Colossians chapter 2. Vain philosophies.
I have to excuse myself. This one guy, I've blocked Jill. He's dead to me, so have a fun chat with him.
Go ahead and run, Deconverted Man, you coward.
Go put your tampon in.
Through dangers untold.
Go home to your mommy. Go home to your mommy.
Through dangers untold, hardships unnumbered, I fought my way here.
Go home to mama.
You have no power over me.
Bye-bye.
You have no power over me.
You're running.
No, I'm not running. I'm leaving.
You are running. You're a coward.
Then go ahead and leave.
You're a coward.
I have nothing to say to you.
Then go ahead and leave. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Goodbye. Take care. And enjoy your fantasies.
Go home to